Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, it's been revealed that the long and very drawn out Operation Branchform, which, to be fair, has widened, has gone deeper, is not just looking at the 600 odd thousand pounds that was missing, but is now looking at embezzlement, theft, fraud, basically corruption across the whole gamut of the party. Has now anyway got to a point where it's cost nearly £1 million. Now, consider it was only about £660,000 that was missing. One has to consider, is £1 million worth it? And I'm going to say, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is. It's worth every penny of it if, at the end of it, certain parties are finding themselves behind bars. Those certain parties, of course, being Nicola Sturgeon, Peter Murrell, and as many of the others as you can possibly get and shove into Barlinnie or HMP Edinburgh for Women, or wherever they can find some suitable dark hole with which to put these people into and lock the door and throw away the bloody key. And so we will take a look at this. There is costing a lot of money, but we know that hopefully at the end of it there may be some revelations. Even if it doesn't end up the way we want, it's still causing them stress and embarrassment. And that's no bad thing either. Here goes. So the staggering cost of fraud probe into the SNP revealed as the police wage bill hits £1 million. But see what you could have won, because ultimately if it ends up with these two and others going to jail, it'll be worth every damn penny, won't it? Every single penny. At the end of July, the cost of Operation Branchform stood at £925,000, with around £100,000 a month being spent on wages for the team of detectives investigating the whereabouts of the ring-fenced donations. The fact that they can't find them indicates that there is fraud. The fact that there's no audit trail, the fact that there is no obviousness of where the money has been moved to or from or what's happened to it, is it's so indicative of fraud, or so indicative of certainly sneaky goings on. And taking it as someone who's worked in accounts for 35 years, I recognise this sort of thing when I see it. The cost of Operation Branchform investigation into the allegations of fraud in the SNP is believed to have soared above £1 million. And this staggering bill comes as Police Scotland is facing a funding crisis. Well, it's facing a funding crisis because the SNP won't give them money, and it's quite clear to see why the SNP are deliberately underfunding them. It's in the vain hope that the police will say, actually, we can't afford to carry on this investigation, and stop it. At which point, central government at Westminster must say that they will foot the bill, and that no matter how much the cost, the price will be worth the paying, and get Westminster to fund it entirely. And therefore, the Police Scotland will not drop the investigation just because the SNP are underfunding them deliberately to do so. Do you see how these things are connected? The National Force said that the estimated salary costs of the team of detectives and other officers working on the long-running probe into the SNP under Sturgeon and Murrell had hit £856,000 by July the 31st. Further £68,000 had been spent on overtime pay, adding up to £925,000. Don't care the cost. I really don't care what the cost is. Let's just make sure it gets to the end and that these people go to jail. In a Freedom of Information response seen by the Scottish Express, Police Scotland said the total costs relating to any investigation, both relating to the investigation itself and the number of hours involved, are difficult to quantify, as the nature of policing means that officers are deployed to wherever their services are most required. The force added that the salary and overtime costs do not provide an accurate reflection of the total number of hours spent on the investigation, nor do they provide, for the reasons stated above, an accurate cost of the investigation. No, but you've got an idea. You know the average cost of what a cop is, and you know how long he's been on it. So it gives you a rough idea. But ultimately, it doesn't matter what the cost is. And if the cost runs to £10 million and it has to come out of central government funds at Westminster, I really don't care. I want to see Sturgeon and Murrell and all of them arrested, tried, convicted and imprisoned. And for me, that would be worth tuppence on tax just to see it happen. Because it not only would it do the justice that it's required. But it sends a message to every one of the other lying, thieving, fraudulent, corrupt, inept, stupid, ignorant bastards, both at Westminster and Holyrood, and in Wales and in Northern Ireland, that no matter where you are or who you are, you'll be investigated, and if you're corrupt, you're going to jail. And they mean to make the jail terms long. None of this 18 months out in 9, 18 years out in 15. Let's do it that way. Let's make corruption in public office as bad as murder. Let's make them not want to do it. Let's make the punishment fit the crime. And let's make the punishment harsh. Scottish Conservative Chairman Craig Hoy, MSP, said the staggering cost of the protracted Operation Branchform probe reflects the severity of the police investigation into the SNP's murky finances. This has imposed a significant financial hit on Police Scotland's overstretched resources and could easily have been avoided had the SNP been honest about their financial affairs to begin with. Fat chance of that, Craig. That ain't never going to happen, because we all know that their accounts are hooky at the best. But also, this is why they've been deliberately underfunding the police. They want the police to be underfunded so the police eventually give up. It must not happen. It cannot happen. They must be fully paid for, all the way to the bitter end, regardless of how long it takes or how much it costs. We need them in prison. Operation Branchform was launched in June 2021 after complaints that more than 600,000 donated to the SNP specifically to pay for a second independence referendum campaign was missing from party accounts. In April, police arrested the former SNP chief executive, Mr Murrell, and searched the Glasgow home he shares with his wife, the former First Minister, Miss Sturgeon. Officers also searched the SNP HQ, and we've done that story 1,000 times, and seized the motorhome, blah, blah, blah. And Colin Beattie was arrested and questioned. Strangely enough, and there she is, Kirsten Oswald, up there on the right. Why was she never arrested? Why was she never questioned? Her fingerprints are all over this. She was in charge of the whole damn thing. And yet nobody thought to question her. And that's someone who knows a lot more than she's ever going to say. In a further FOI release, Police Scotland explained that the central repository of information relevant to Operation Branchform, there's in excess of 1,000 folders containing over 10,000 files. That's a lot of information that needs to be gone through. And certainly in there, somewhere, hiding, is the smoking gun. It is the absolute proof that these people were involved in a corrupt operation, perhaps. Careful with my words. But it's got to be there. It would undoubtedly be there. But like I say, I mean, just even from what I know, there is definitely shadiness going on. But we all know that because it is the SNP. We all know that they're a dirty, corrupt, nasty group dedicated to lies, to sleaze, to corruption, to cover up. There is no crime to which I would not be surprised if I found out they'd committed it. Not one. And I mean all of them. It wouldn't surprise me if it came out, revelations came out about anything. I really wouldn't be surprised. They're that kind of organisation, aren't they? Muck mafia, as it were. The SNP said, Police Scotland don't have to justify their expenditure to the SNP. That's right, they don't. They answer to the Scottish public. Correct. And it is the Scottish public who want the SNP to be fully investigated. They want to know where the money's gone, and they want to know what else the SNP have been up to, because it doesn't just start and stop with that £600,000. Of that, we can all be sure. I'll stop there, I'll come up, and we'll round off the video. All I say to the police is, do not give in to political pressure. Do not stop the investigation. Keep finding the money. Keep investigating. And if you have to go cap in hand to the Home Office and get James Cleverly, if it's still him, to fund the investigation from outside of the Scottish Parliament funding, then do so. I think everybody wants the truth to come out on this. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll stop there, round off. We've got a lot more videos to get through. So until next time, stay safe, stay well. And remember, the police need to be able to finish this job and not give in to political pressure. Goodbye.